Spooky Sunday. How are we doing, everybody? Moving the chains. We're back at it. College football is finally back. Oh, my God. So exciting. I got off of work at 11 a.m. yesterday, came home, passed out, took a little nap, and was in a great mood all day long. I got to talk about a couple games today. It's going to be a lengthy pod, but I'm going to get into all of this. So we got to talk about Alabama, Florida State. Alabama losing. How you like that, Paul Feinbaum? Dumbass. Oh, Jesus. Alabama losing just makes my heart feel better. It was a hate-watching day yesterday. Arch blowing it. Clemson losing. Oh, it's a great day. But I want to touch on, I got a couple games. So I got Alabama, Florida State. I'm going to touch on in a second. I got to talk about the Texas-Ohio State game, the much ballyhooed Arch Manning debut. I want to talk about LSU Clemson, the night game in Clemson. Great atmosphere. On my bucket list of college football games I need to go to. I need to go to the Swamp. I need to go to Death Valley in Clemson. And then I got to touch on the other game. Last game I want to touch on was about my Tennessee Volunteers with my cousins Alex and Andrew Areola, along with my cousin Andrew's wife Alicia. I want to give a shout out to all you guys. Love you. Heart. Love you guys. Hope you're doing well. So, start off with the show. Alabama, Florida State, excuse me. I'm getting all my names messed up here. It was such a big day. That was alarming yesterday. Wow. Florida State just beat the shit out of Alabama. Wow. I was floored. I didn't think much of going into this game. I didn't see the line on the game. I saw it during the broadcast. I think it was, I believe it was like 14.5-point favorite Alabama was. That should have covered it. That was a beatdown yesterday. I know the score was close, 31-17, and it was a little bit, kind of had a thing of Florida State was so hot first half, and then Alabama kind of came creeping back in. But it just, to me yesterday, they just weren't Alabama-like. They were getting physical. Guys were coming off the ball, and the offensive line just powering people, knocking people off, showing the Chucky face, want to play. It just wasn't a good day. And listen, I'm not going to, I can shit on Paul Feinbaum, and I will, because I think he's Kermit the Frog's evil cousin, that four-eyed looking motherfucker. I don't like the guy. But the point is I just was so floored yesterday when I watched Alabama, this dominant program of my life, one of them, they just didn't play physical. Did they turn soft now with Kalen DeBoer? I don't know, because they're not Alabama anymore. I don't fear them. You know, it's funny, when I was growing up, when Nick Saban was there, I feared Alabama for that run until the NIL and all that shit took over. And Nick Saban left at the perfect time to leave. He did. But, man, I tell you, that was a beatdown yesterday. And, listen, that Tommy Castellanos, listen, I may have my problems with him because of all the transferring. He's transferred. This is his third school now. That kid can play. Now, he's got some Kyler Murray in him. And I love the fire he plays with, the compassion, just the playmaking. He's very good, and there's times with him, though, the passing's kind of But, man, his running ability really hurt Alabama yesterday. They were doing a lot of good crossing routes, the great design, the game plan by Gus Malzahn, who, by the way, I should have gone into this game knowing, hey, he's got a few wrinkles up his sleeve. He's seen this at Alabama. He coached at Auburn. He knows this. He had the kick six game, so he started the tempo movement in college football. That's kind of Josh Heupel's thing right now that I think's getting adapted. But that's when Nick Saban changed in college football. That's when he adapted. That's when he pivoted. Got to go to the offensive spread. It's coming great. So I'll say this right now. Florida State's going to be a tough out, man. In that conference, it's kind of boo-boo. They're probably the best team. Probably them and Florida State to come out of that conference and win it. Alabama, listen, it's one game. I'm not going to jump the gun. But it is funny, hate watching, and I sure love watching Alabama lose. Their fan base has been so fucking spoiled for so goddamn long. It's about time somebody kicked their ass and put them on their face. And yeah, I'll do this, okay? Sorry, but that fan doing that was just all-time classic, meme loving, and I digged every second of it. And Kalen DeBoer, listen, is his seat on the hot seat? I don't know. But it's getting a little hot, man. It's getting a little hot. This is a different animal, different beast. When you go from Sioux Falls, a respectable, Division III program, whatever, I believe that is, into now you have, you coach at Washington. It's a really good program, but Pac-12, we all know that. They're kind of hippie. California, cool, man. Let's ride the wave, bro. Yeah, man. Like, kind of groovy, kind of hippie-like. To the SEC, which is a different animal. It's faith family football down there. There's not a lot of pro teams. They're the main attraction. So it's just very concerning from Alabama. They had a lot of uncharacteristic drops yesterday. Ryan Williams is their all-pro receiver. Kind of tapered off at the end of last year. Start off with a bang. Kind of like Stone Cold Undertaker. I had to rep my shirt today. Still repping my WWE fandom, WWF Attitude Era fandom. Had to throw that in there. But back to the original point that I had with Alabama. I just think right now, and listen, he did beef up. He did get stronger in trying to take the punishment because there was a couple hits yesterday. Maybe the targeting call, I believe it was against Florida State. I think one of the guys was wearing Derwin James's number. So, great win for Florida State after that catastrophic collapse last year. 2-10. They went to Dublin. I thought they were going to win, and then it snowballed on them. They brought in the new quarterback. They lost Jordan Travis. So it's a nice, refreshing moment for Florida State fans. They deserve to storm the field yesterday because that was an absolute beatdown of Alabama yesterday. Alabama, you got some question marks. You got some questions get answered. So, other game I wanted to touch on was Texas-Ohio State. The ballyhoo of them all. I know a bunch of Ohio State fans. I know a couple Texas fans. Mitchell Douglas, I want to give a shout out to him. He's a big Ohio State fan. Went to college with him. Really good dude. Just got married, had a kid. Congratulations, brother. Hope you're doing well. But besides that, he's a big Ohio State fan. I know a couple guys I went to school with. AJ Moore that I know. He's a big Ohio State fan. So, listen, that was a vibrant atmosphere yesterday in the shoe. 12 noon kickoff. It just felt big. In college football, I got to agree with Coward on something, too. College football's had a big game problem for years. I mean, the NFL, they got about 8 of them that are big every year, right? I felt like with college football, you get like 1 or 2, and that's it. This felt big. How many big games were there yesterday? I mean, I'll touch on Syracuse, Tennessee, 2 10-win teams from a year ago. You had Florida State, Alabama, 2 big brands. Notre Dame, Miami later tonight. I'll give you guys my post-game reaction tomorrow after that game, and then I got to watch my guy, Norris, big play. Sellers playing at 3 p.m., but I wanted to pop on here. I got to get my reaction because it was a big, full day. But I want to get back to my point. So Ohio State yesterday looked phenomenal. Now listen, Matt Patricia, the Ozempic, clown-like, frat boy wearing rocket scientist fat fuck, he lost, and he had a great game plan yesterday. I mean, they stymied Arch Manning. They confused him. They showed something pre-snap like, we're going to run a cover 2, and then we're going to do something different post. So really confused the young quarterback. And listen, it was his first game. I'm not going to jump the gun on Arch Manning. Okay? Texas is going to be fine. But I've always had my knock with Texas with this. Why the hell are they not physical? Why are they not? Come on, man. I understand. They're like USC with cowboy boots. I heard Coward say this, and I think it's true. Is that big city, glamour, swag, all that stuff. And I'm all for it. But there's one thing in football, violence and physicality, that come down to it. And they don't ever show it to me with Texas. Why don't they have 6 natties? I mean, they recruit as good as anybody in the country. It's Texas football. Everything's bigger in Texas, I hear. Sometimes a little overrated. And that, be it as it may. But my point is, where's the attitude? Where's the, intensity? I just never feel it with Texas. They're a little sloppy yesterday for my take. I know it's first week of college football. I'm not going to take too much into account. But it's still something that I need to look into. And listen, Texas is going to be a good team this year. They were in the semifinal last year. They're going to be a good team when Sark's watch. But I just feel like, to me, Sark's got to get that ship just a little tightened the screws a little bit in terms of just playing more on time and just kind of getting the team not as loosey-goosey it feels like in these big, big games. And Ohio State's got Texas' number now. The last 2 times they played, they just beat the shit out of them. So what's Texas going to do to combat that? Because obviously they're going to play again in the championship game. I just have a feeling Ohio State, we all know, defending national champions, they're going to be fine. Listen, Josh Julian saying does not need to do anything much. Get the ball to number 4 and get the ball to Carnell Tate, okay? And run the football. That's fine. Because both defenses were kind of slugging it out. It was kind of like a black and blue physical game yesterday. I'm not going to jump the gun on the low-scoring affair. I didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring game. I just didn't. It's first game of the year. It's jitters. I got all that. So, Arch Manning's going to be okay. We need to kind of slow down the hype. Listen, the hype's great, but you got to still play the game. Okay? You still got to play the game. So, he acknowledges it. This is why I love the kid. He's humble. He was grown up right with the Mannings. They're American football royalty. I understand that. But he's humble. He's a grown-up. He's a kid still. But I'm all sold on Arch Manning. And he's going to be just okay. It was a little alarming yesterday. Some of those throws were layups, and he whiffed, and he missed them badly. Woof. It's like Home Alone when Kevin says, Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof. Woof. So that was my take on that game. So I got two more games I want to touch on. So, the game I want to touch on. So, LSU Clemson. I touched on it at the top. Let's talk about it right now. So, two teams, two quarterbacks going at it last night in Death Valley. What a great atmosphere that was last night. Under the lights. It was awesome. It was great. And that's what college football is all about. The pageantry and all that stuff. I love it. Okay? And it was a battle of two quarterbacks last night. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, love him. I said it last year. I love the kid. But after that A&M game, I can't get that memory out. He's kind of playing cute. And I didn't love the decision-making in that A&M game because they were killing him, in that A&M game. And I heard this Friday with John Middlecoff, and he had a guy, his intern Jackson, on the podcast. They were talking about Casey Wiggman was in the game at quarterback, and then they couldn't stop Marcel Reed the rest of that game and against A&M. And then Nussmeier had that game on a chokehold, and then he just unleashed and just fell apart. I thought decision-making was, and I heard her say this last night at the top. He's a gunslinger. I said my dad last night, a little bit of Favre, see a little bit of that. I wish he was a little bit bigger to me. He doesn't feel like the biggest guy. He's only 6'1", 205. That kind of worries me, the wear and tear on his body going to the next level. He's going to be, I think he could be a top first, second round pick. I don't know about number one because that kind of feels Kirk Cousins to me. That's his comp to me when I watch him, is he's kind of got some Cousins in him. He can move better than I think, but he's more functional as a pocket guy in this day and age. But you got to have move. You can move. Here's the thing with Nussmeier. If you cannot move and you don't have athletic ability and all that stuff, you got to be able to be functional mobility in the pocket, moving around, eyes down the field. Look one way. Okay, nothing's coming back. Come backside and hit your guy. And I thought last night he was phenomenal in that. And that Clemson defense, listen, it's got dudes everywhere. And that's a hotbed for talent down South Carolina. The South is always going to dominate recruiting as long as I live and breathe. They always are, and they always will, okay? But last night was a big win for Brian Kelly. This was awesome. And listen, I've been a Brian Kelly fan. He can drive me crazy. He's a little gruff, and he's doing his fake Southern accent. And, he's kind of gruff, and he's kind of chucky. He's got the snarl, and kind of reminds me of Gruden a little bit. But there's one thing this guy knows how to do. He can coach. And he's underrated. And listen, I know we got a bad rap in Notre Dame. I know my family always talked about it. But that was a good win last night. They needed that win to kind of catapult them and try and get into the Natty. Now, could they? I don't know. But last night was a step of that. They're probably going to meet again. They could in the final game because Clemson, to me, is probably going to run the ACC. I don't know who's stopping them. Like I said at the top, maybe Florida State, if they could continue that momentum after week one. We'll see. But, man, that was a good win last night for LSU. And Garrett Nussmeier didn't have the choking that he had last year. And it showed last night. Him being composed, him making good decisions last night. And that showed its display. And I was really disappointed in Clemson last night. Listen, this was a Clemson offense that returned to everybody. Their offensive line, their defense was there. But their pass rush couldn't get to Garrett Nussmeier last night. With a revamped, retooled offensive line with LSU, who lost Will Campbell, who's one of my personal favorites. Badass, tough guy. 38 starts. You lost your guard. You lost all your offensive line. You put 5 new guys on there, and they didn't get to him last night. Now, good job for LSU, kind of manufacturing screens and bubbles and getting them, making them run up field on the defensive line. That works when you got a front four like that. But Clemson disappointed me last night, but Klubnik mainly. This is an offense that returned everybody, as you just mentioned, and you couldn't even get 10 points, more than 10 at home. A little embarrassing with the LSU defense couldn't stop anybody last year. So that was my concern with Clemson. They're still going to be good. I like Kate Klubnik a lot, but I don't see him as a first-round quarterback. I see him as a second-round guy. That's just my take. Needs to be a little bit bigger. Arm's not bad, pretty good, not great. But that was just my interpretation. And last game but not least, so to top that off, Clemson's going to be fine. They're going to run the ACC. LSU, watch out. They could be a sneaky team to kind of get the dance. So last game I want to touch on was the Tennessee Volunteers yesterday. My cousins, as I just mentioned off the top, Alex and Andrew Areola, I want to give a shout out to you guys. Love you. You guys went Tennessee. You guys know all about the rivalry. Georgia, my cousin Alex's fiance Anna Beth, shout out to you guys. I love you. So, and Georgia kicked ass yesterday. It was against Marshall. Who gives a shit? But here's what I'm going to talk about Tennessee. I mentioned this last year with Josh Heupel's offense. This offense is fun to watch. And I watched the whole 18-minute highlight this morning, right when I got up, because I knew I was going to touch on here and talk about it. That offense is so fun to watch. And listen, I wrote down this note. Their offensive style at Tennessee. It's high tempo. It's receiver-driven. It's spread offenses. They use wide splits, and I mean wide splits to cover all inches of grass. They're trying to create one-on-one matchups for both receivers in the run game. They use the RPO game. They read defenses post-snap to kind of exploit coverage. They create all the space. You see it when you're watching it. They use the RPO game. They prioritize speed, and they use a decisive plan to keep defense off balance. So true. I know that was a mouthful, but just keep that in mind when you guys are watching. You'll be like, oh, Sam McIntyre said that about that offense. Damn, okay, yeah. So that offense is so explosive yesterday. And listen, they had a great plan. That Syracuse game, I know the score was a little indicative, and it was 45-26 what being the final. That was a dogfight for most of that game. Syracuse has got some dudes, man. They were a 10-win team last year with Kyle McCord leading the number one passing offense in the entire country. Syracuse Orangemen. Who would have thought? Did they have Donovan McNabb back there with Marvin Harrison? Didn't feel like it, but that's what they were last year. But this is this year, and that was a dogfight game yesterday. It was a fun, explosive, high-octane offensive game yesterday. That was fireworks everywhere, okay? And they took their shots. That's why I like this Aguilar kid, and I'll touch on Nico in a second. He had a great debut. Bullshit. He had a crappy debut. But I wanted to touch on Joey Aguilar. He's got the deep ball. And this kid is, I'm not saying he's running like this, but if he can get a little bit of element RPO game, he can still exploit the down-the-field passing attack, which I call the AAA offense. Triple aerial assault attack offense down the field with shots galore. Watch out. Because that throw he made where he had, they had the 4 formation, and then he went to 1. He was going to run this route, and then he went to the post, faked the corner out. Phenomenal. Great execution by Josh Heupel's offense, and that's why it's fun to watch for me. However, I will say this with Tennessee. Them and LSU are going to be sneaky in the SEC. Because Tennessee's got a fast, ferocious defense yesterday, and I saw it get at that, and Julia, the quarterback for Syracuse, I can't remember his name, but I think he's got a last name like that sounds Italian. Still feels right. But my point is, that to me feels like this Tennessee team, when they get on a roll like that, and they were very balanced yesterday, I thought they were going to have a little bit of running back withdrawal just because they lost Dylan Sampson, but they picked up right where they left off. They recruit really well. It's a good state to get talent in a hotbed state. So I just think right now, listen, they've got a lot of dudes on the back end. They got dudes everywhere on the defensive line. Tennessee's always done this. I mean, they've had so many guys go in the NFL, and it's a prominent program. They kind of had a downward weirdness with Brent Jones and all that shit go down, but this is just phenomenal. I was so impressed yesterday with Josh Heupel's offense. If they can continue this, watch out, because this sky's the limit with this offense and what it can do. That's why I don't understand why Nico leaving. You're leaving that offense that I just mentioned off the top regarding this game and how fast and what they do, and one of the best offensive minds in the country. I think Lincoln Riley, I think Josh Heupel, and I think a couple other guys come to my mind. But man, it's fun to watch offensively. And their offensive line didn't do a bad job yesterday. Clemson, Syracuse gets good defensive linemen. They put guys in the NFL. So that was very impressive yesterday from Tennessee. If they can continue that going, watch out, because this team is fun to watch offensively, and we'll see how far Joey Aguilar can take the Tennessee Volunteers. Maybe more than 10 wins. We shall see. The SEC is a gauntlet, as we all know. So that's all I wanted to touch on today. It was a fun-filled, action-packed, college football edition type podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. spooky Sunday here with you, folks. Adios. Stay tuned for more content. Godspeed.